Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 16 of the Musicians Talk Show podcast, and a very happy Memorial Day to you all. I'm here with my co-host, Matt Tolley, and we are recording pretty much live-ish because this will be out basically as soon as we're done. So, trying to keep in with our Monday release tradition. So, Matt, go ahead and say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Happy Memorial Day.
I didn't mean to kind of steal your thunder there.
You didn't steal any thunder. Can't suppress my thunder, bro.
Can't suppress your thunder?
No.
Well, speaking of thunder, let's talk about Weezer.
Oh, speaking of thunder, we were talking about their Toto cover.
No segue game at all.
Yeah.
But for real though, I do want to talk about Weezer's Toto thing. I knew they did Rosanna. I saw it come up on my Apple Music. I listened to about a minute and a half of it before I turned it off. But what I did not know is what you told me, which is a fan of Weezer had petitioned basically them to record Africa, which why?
Because there's a meme thing, I think. It's just such a prevalent thing in meme society right now.
The song is, first of all, it's one of my least favorite Toto songs.
Yeah, you've seen the world, the thing that goes across the world, like all the notes, and then when they get over Africa,
it plays Africa,
comes. So
didn't I send you that? I thought I sent you that.
You might have, but I already had it. I know that. I know it was like one of those things that I saw, and I was thinking about sending it around, but I was just like, I'm not being a part of this. And then you sent it to me. I didn't say anything.
There you go. Okay.
But
enough.
yes, I've seen that shit, and I'm over it, dude. I'm like.
It was funny the first time. Yeah, I get it. But sure, Africa's a song. We get it.
I think there's something to do with that. It's the only thing I can think of. It's
also in an episode of Family Guy.
All right.
It's in, I think it's
just making some kind of
song
comeback.
that, Peter and Lois met to, basically, or something like that.
Okay, so do you think that Weezer specifically didn't do that song, or do you think that was...
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, obviously they specifically didn't do the song, but did they do it to be, like, different, or to be like, hey, check out this song by Weezer?
I think they were like...
wouldn't
it be cool
Toto.
if we did a Toto cover, but we're definitely not doing Africa.
Okay.
Let's do Rosanna.
Okay.
Rosanna, by the way, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So I'm actually in line with whatever decision maker made that decision over at Camp Weezer. But
you didn't like it. You turned it off.
I didn't even get through it.
What was wrong with it?
I guess I need to listen to it again. For me, I
love the original, so let's go ahead and say that you're biased towards the original automatically.
And I was going to say it's just going to be me being an old guy, which is funny.
Not old.
I'm 25, but it's like...
But it's just somebody who knows the song.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Weezer
it's just like, that's
man.
one of my favorite songs. Steve Lukather rips it.
Yeah.
Every part of that song I love. I've studied that song so deeply. I know every vocal note, every harmony, every key part.
Right.
And
so it's one of your favorites.
And then hearing... a cover of it that by a band I don't really care about. Like, Weezer's fine.
Sure,
but,
me too. I'm the same way. I'm not
my favorite band.
Them.
So, it was just kind of like,
how there's some bands
that
can do like covers that make the song better. We talked about this in the last episode actually, but there's like, they could just, whatever they do, they're going to do it in their own style and they're going to make it awesome.
Right.
Like, I guess if we don't like Weezer.
And we were just talking about this a second ago, Steel Panther's I Want It That Way.
Oh, yeah.
Backstreet Boys cover.
Yeah.
So covers are a tricky thing if you're going to do them as an original band.
Because you want to do the original.
If you're going to be a cover band, that's fine. But if you want to be an original band that releases a cover on an original album, it has to either be very, very good and close to the original, note for note, sounds,
just something
everything.
Super,
or it has to be completely different, your own. Some examples that come to mind are the Steel Panther one we just talked about. Nevermore.
You Really Got Me.
Sound of Silence.
Yeah. How about when Eddie Van Halen did You Really Got Me?
But wasn't that pretty close to the original? It was just like
I thought he added so much more lead guitar to it that it made it
but he just kind of did
different.
like that's not a lot, Like that's just him kind of riffing around on the riff.
I think it's a lot. I think it makes it sound like Van Halen versus the Kinks.
I'm talking like completely reworking the song.
Okay.
I'm not saying like play.
Who's reworked it more?
Did
Steel Panther completely rework Backstreet Boys?
That riff,
yeah.
That's not in. That's nowhere in that song.
Right, that's not in the song at all. Okay,
completely different. First of all, you hear the very beginning of the song and you don't know what song it is.
Right.
You Really Got Me. You absolutely know what song it is.
Right. Because it's just a iconic thing though.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it wasn't done on guitar before when the Kinks did it.
I agree. He added some lead fills. I don't think that's enough to make it.
Okay, so the Weezer Toto cover, what were they doing? Were they going
for me, it seemed like they were trying to do the original. It was just like, you're Weezer. You're not Toto, you know what I mean?
I got you. So they tried too hard to do it the original way and got lost in...
So what happens is the two routes that we were just saying you can go, they went down try to be true to the original one, but I just don't think they did a good job.
Right. I hear you.
I hear you.
They lost some of the magic of the song.
Yeah, there's magic in those old recordings for sure. So
absolutely.
It's kind of hard to be like, let's re-record Welcome to the Jungle. It's like, well, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be the same. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even if
so,
you did,
so what you
people
do
are
is
so
you
used
have
the
to go in a
original.
completely different direction.
Yeah, and then make
Um,
it like some kind of.
And then some
different
songs you
take
just
on
shouldn't
it.
do that on.
Right,
And
right.
that sounds silly. I hate saying that. I hate being like,
If somebody can do it,
limiting,
do it.
but-
But if it isn't good, if it isn't like something truly unique and special, then don't put it out. 'Cause, man,
a really good example, and I don't know if you're familiar with what I said a second ago, Sound of Silence, which is, by the way, too many people are covering that song.
right.
Stop.
Yes.
But a long time ago, I think it was like 2006, Nevermore did it.
okay.
Nevermore's a really good metal band. Jeff
Yeah, I
Loomis
didn't
guitar.
know that they did that song. Actually.
Well, because you would not know it's the song. It is
It's
not.
so different.
The only thing the same is the lyrics. Literally, the melodies are not the same. It's just absolutely completely different. It's so different. You will either A, love it like me, or
Uh-huh.
B, hate it.
Right. It's
you
one of
will
those things.
hate it so much. And that A or B depends completely on how much you like the original song.
Exactly.
For me, I don't care about the original song. I've
Right.
heard it maybe once.
Right.
Like, I mean, I know it just from being in the zeitgeist, but I've
Yes,
heard it
right.
maybe once. So this cover was really cool because
Yeah.
I was also on a huge Nevermore kick when I heard it. It's off of Dead Heart and Dead World, and I will be posting that to the show notes. I'm going to
Yeah,
make a
there you
note
go,
here
make
right
a
now
note.
because you guys should hear it.
Yeah, and there's just something to be said for making a good cover versus just doing a cover. Like, because there's Avenged Sevenfold did Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and everything they do is good. They're one of those bands
Yeah.
that's just like a top echelon players and stuff like that. But that song, it just kind of felt like they phoned it in to me. Like, it was not a challenge for them, and it.
To me, that song feels like phoning it in all the time, like the original. Like,
That's hilarious.
I'm not a big
Tony
fan of the
Iommi
song.
phoned it in.
Absolutely, like doodle doodle.
It's popular, man.
You know
Something
what I mean?
about what is it? The lyrics about it? Is it because the song's simple, right? What's about that song? Because I loved it. I
I
remember.
don't know. Maybe
first
the only
hearing
thing
it.
I can think of is that was kind of the first time anyone had heard that kind of thing.
Maybe.
You know,
Yeah, just totally.
I think
new.
a lot of those old bands, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, the like,
They just got.
they get a
Early.
pass.
They
They
get
get a
early.
pass a lot of times because and Jimi Hendrix too. They broke so much ground that it's kind of like, well, the music, it was good for its time, right?
Yeah,
and a lot of it still holds up. I'm not saying it doesn't,
Right.
but they definitely get some sort of pass for being the pioneers,
Right. They don't have to be working as hard as maybe
Because
somebody trying to find, a
We
unique
know what we
sound
know
nowadays.
in 2018, and we can't unknow that. So
Right.
we can't go back and see what it was really like to have your mind blown by this because we've heard Periphery, and then someone puts on Paranoid, and we're like, this blows.
Yeah,
But it's like, well, no, wait a second, you got the timeline all wrong.
But it's not always the time. Like, 'cause there's a good feel to those old songs, So there's that maybe
For
a lot
sure.
of new songs.
And I
don't
love
have.
Black Sabbath, and I love a lot of their songs. I do not like Paranoid. Absolutely do not.
Interesting. What's
Not
your
at all.
favorite Black Sabbath song?
Heaven and Hell, probably.
Yeah, so you like the later on stuff that was like.
I love Dio. I
Yes.
don't really like Ozzy with Sabbath that much. And I think actually, I don't know if this is true, but I think he was the shortest singer they
I
had,
think we
right?
talked about that before.
The
that,
longest singer they had was Tony Martin, who no one knows, but his
Yeah.
stuff is phenomenal with
Yeah.
Black Sabbath. It's all the middle stuff. It's like
I can
after
see
Dio.
that. I can see that, but
And
I
that stuff was amazing. And also, when they got Dio back, tried to be Black Sabbath, couldn't, so they had to change their name to Heaven and Hell. That album is phenomenal.
It's killer because Dio is just an amazing thing on his own, and whether or not he
But that
sounds
album
like
is so dark. They're playing in drop C,
Yeah.
so it's so dark and
Yeah.
heavy, and they just follow the tears, dude. Like that song,
yeah,
I can't even describe
The
it.
whole album
and then
is
the
so
album
good.
cover is one of the most genuinely scary album covers I've
very
ever
cool
seen.
looking.
It's it's absolutely one of the coolest album covers. Like Heaven and Hell. What
Yeah.
was that album called?
How do we get on this tangent? We started talking about Toto
Dude,
covers.
This is we
awesome,
we are
though.
the Tangent Kings. Well, that's kind of long form podcasting for you, I guess. But
yeah.
what is that album called?
Which one?
Heaven and Hell is the band name. 'Cause they had to change
Well,
it.
they did have one called Heaven and Hell, didn't they?
The album name?
I think
I think they only put out the one album. I'm going to confirm
I thought it
that
was
while
called
you
Heaven.
fill some time here for the audience.
Oh, I'm filling some time, huh? Well, I love
The
Dio.
Devil You Know,
Oh, okay.
2009.
Okay.
And then they released Neon Nights live in Europe. So it's a live album, but it's
Yeah.
all the same song.
Okay, and that's
But The Devil You Know, you need to listen to Bible Black 3. That song is amazing.
awesome.
Funny lyric, I want to say in a second.
Okay.
And then Follow the Tears, track 8. Excuse me. Bible Black has a lyric. I swear it says this. I cannot hear anything different. If I'm wrong, please correct me,
What
anyone.
does it say?
I think the lyric is this. What's this world I see? Who are you and who are me?
I think there's stuff like that. There's stuff like that where they just use wrong grammar on purpose, like just to
Who
like,
are you?
you don't see it
and
coming.
Who are me?
you kind of see it coming where you're gonna say like the whole phrase, and then at the very end they change the
You
grammar
ready to take
and
this
make
shit
it
full circle?
rhyme. What?
I was listening to a podcast analyzing the musical parts of like pop songs and what makes them great and
Uh-huh.
why, like scientifically and psychologically, why they get stuck in your head and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay.
And they talked about Max Martin, who's one of the most acclaimed songwriters in the world. He writes all the hits you've heard. If you don't know him, look him up. Max Martin, Swedish songwriter. He wrote "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys, which we were just talking about. Full circle.
There we go.
There's a lot of parts in that song that don't make any sense. In the
I don't get what the lyrics mean at all. I've thought about that several times.
In the
I don't
verse,
know what
he
they
says,
mean.
"I want it that way," and in the chorus, he says, "Never tell me I want it that way."
Right.
So it's like completely contradicting.
Do we know? I hope you know the answer.
It's not about meaning. The whole thing is, it's
not the way
this is super counterintuitive, but people don't care about meaning in songs as much as they care about the way the words sound and the melody of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Delivery. Yeah, I think about that all the time.
And that doesn't mean you can just scream bullshit into a microphone. What it means is you can get away with certain things because it sounds better.
Yeah.
As opposed to making sense.
Yeah.
Like making sense isn't the king. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Especially if it's a small part of it, like the end of that, like.
And we can argue that all day, but it's been proven time and time again with pop music
that just do not make sense, but they sound great, and you're like, oh, well, that's what I want to sing.
Bop by Hanson.
Right.
What?
That makes no sense. Like some songs are complete gibberish, man. Some songs like literally have no words.
Macaron by Chacarone, right? That's the one that's used on YouTube.
Yeah, there's some country songs that are just like total gibberish, and it's just like, but it's cool because it doesn't matter. It's like it's all about the music at that point. And the voice becomes just another instrument.
Right.
And the lyrics don't necessarily have to make you think. That's not part of songs. It's like, it doesn't have to be. It can be. Like when you listen to anything by Chris Cornell, like his lyrics make you think, because that all does mean something. It's never trivial. And that's something that's I always loved about him as a lyricist, that it's never trivial. There's always some deep meaning and often several meanings and often several ways that people can take it to mean their own thing.
I think that sometimes artists write things and then over consumers listening to them millions of times between, millions of consumers, they start to take on new meanings that the artist didn't intend.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's kind of like, oh, he's such a genius. There's 10 meanings in this song.
Don't you think there's a way?
Kind of just wrote.
Don't you think there's a way you can write though in a vague enough way that people can take this emotion, this feeling that you feel, and relate it to themselves?
I just don't know if don't know if many songwriters are consciously being like, if I write it this way, there'll be 3 different ways to interpret it. You know what I mean? I think and speaking from my own experiences, I know you can write a song, it comes out one way, and then you sit and think about it for a while, and you're like, oh, that could actually mean this too.
Yeah.
But that was definitely not
accidental. It can happen accidentally, but I think you can also be looking for that while you're writing and keep being aware of it, and then you can lend yourself to, like, when you run across an option where it is possible to like leave open more than one meaning, especially as a whole. Like, you know what I mean? It can like just wholly mean something totally different for somebody else. You can actually write in that in that vein and in that manner.
Which is and Drops of Jupiter comes back. We talked about it in episode 14.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I mean, a lot of people listen to that song and think it's about just a girl. It's like, well, there's more to it.
Yeah, right? And The Darkness has a lot of lyrics that are like that too, and just like it's crazy how far they go with it, because you'll think something's a total ballad love song to his girlfriend, and it turns out it's about herpes or something. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's probably conscious.
That is definitely conscious. They are very aware of it. And in interviews, when they get asked about it, it's funny. They like kind of dodge it a little bit. They're just like, I don't know. I guess we're just going to leave it open for everybody to interpret.
That sucks.
Just in case it's somebody's favorite love song or whatever, and then they have to find out it's about herpes. Or
well, also an artist's responsibility is to get stuff out of the world, not to interpret it for people.
That's definitely true. It's
not the artist's job to tell you what it is. It's your job to just take what you can from it. Exactly. And that's what it is. Like, it is whatever you make it, right?
Exactly.
So Weezer Toto cover, let's come all the way back to that.
Yeah.
Did you listen to it?
I didn't listen to it. I saw it, and I don't like Weezer, so it's not for
me.
You
don't have to. It's fine.
I'm not going to get into it. And you already told me it sucked, so I was like, all right.
Go to the original, in my opinion.
I will. I've heard the original plenty.
One thing good it does, I will say, is it probably brings that song to people that might not know it.
Right. Weezer fans that don't know who Toto is.
Right.
Sure.
Which
probably a lot of
would
them.
be nice.
Probably a lot of them. At least one knows who Toto is, obviously.
For sure. So I'm going to post the Nevermore Sound of Silence. I'm just going to post the whole album, and then the Heaven and Hell album as well for people. Sure. As well as I always do, I'm going to post the album review album, which we'll get to in a minute, and the solo of the week. I always post those for people to check out. They're always Apple Music links. If you don't have Apple Music, you can search it on your own. But the Apple Music links are super nice, because if you do have Apple Music, you just click it and it plays immediately right there.
You can rate it, you can save it, you can do whatever you want to it. Yeah.
So I also cannot recommend Apple Music enough.
Sure.
It's affordable, and you have access to basically every song. I don't know how many times someone's like, have you heard this song? And before I reply, because I haven't, rather than say I haven't, I'll just go listen to it real quick in its entirety from the album, know everything I need to know about it, and then I'll reply, yeah, I've heard it. Like,
Future's here, man. It's so nice.
Instantaneous. I wanted to talk a little bit about new albums versus old, which we were talking a little bit at lunch. And then kind of the nostalgia factor that comes in.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I can kind of go back to what we were talking about, and we just briefly talked about it, but the fact that you were bringing up the fact that nostalgia plays a huge part in what becomes somebody's favorite music, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with how the music is technically put together. It just literally brings you back to a time when you were young and you remember getting excited about music, and then that will always kind of be there.
Right. So the example I used, as always, was Guns N' Roses. When I first heard them, I was just getting into, or just becoming aware of like what music is and what it could be.
Yeah,
as opposed to knowing music is just something that was on in the car.
Right.
Couldn't name an artist, couldn't name a song, couldn't name an instrument. So I was just becoming aware of what music was, and I just picked up the guitar. So that was the formative years right there, where my brain now wires Appetite for Destruction and all the other GNR stuff into that kind of part. So when I listen to it, it's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging it unbiasedly at all. I'm judging it based on all these nostalgia factors that come in. And then compare that to, let's say they come out with a new album tomorrow. There's probably almost a 0% chance I could like it more than what I have nostalgia built up on,
Because you had it for so long, it's been built up in your brain.
It could be a better album across the board. And actually, I'm the kind of person that would really try to see it as unbiasedly as I possibly could.
Yeah.
But the majority of people will just immediately be like, oh, it's shit.
Yeah,
and
not Appetite.
We exactly saw that with Chinese Democracy.
Sure.
We exactly saw that with
I
Chinese
like those
Democracy.
songs. I listened to that.
If you judge Chinese Democracy completely unbiasedly, it's impossible to call it a garbage album.
Right.
It's not garbage. You
might
not like it.
It sounds immaculate.
It's great.
It's immaculate.
Like,
There's no mistakes in it. There's no. I mean,
the lyrics have meaning. They make a lot of sense. They're deep.
The solos are amazing.
The instrumentation is amazing. The arrangements are amazing. The sound and production quality is amazing.
It just doesn't sound like Appetite for Destruction. It doesn't give you that feeling, and it's never going to be Appetite for Destruction because when we heard
let's take it a step further, it wasn't trying to be.
Right.
That's the thing.
Obviously, it wasn't.
But if you're idiot people.
If you're trying to
wanting Appetite so bad that whatever Chinese comes out is they're not gonna like it.
Exactly. So whatever this next one's gonna come out is potentially the same.
So it might even be worse than the Chinese thing, depending on how long.
Well, at least they're back together now. I think that's gonna help in their favor.
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's gonna be the biggest thing.
That's a very good point. Yes. What other albums are you thinking of? I mean, well, let's talk the Metallica thing. We talked about a little bit as well. The Black album was the nostalgia one for me. Was that 1990, or was it earlier than that?
Oh, I want to say it came 92. I feel like it was 92, but I might be wrong.
I'll confirm while you take us down the Metallica.
Yeah. So the thing we were talking about was you want to compare like the Avenged Sevenfold take on it.
91.
91. Okay. So basically that.
Oh yeah, and then we'll talk about Avenged.
Is that what we were talking about, or do you want to?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about how they started going down with Load. Do you remember?
Oh right. Yeah. So the popularity, like where they kind of went down, and they were just making a transformation, and I'd say it started at Load and then Reload and Saint Anger from there.
This would have all been in the 90s?
Right, would have all been in like mid to late 90s. And then just to see the comeback that they've made with Death Magnetic and then you see Hardwired come out now, and it seems like it's all over the place. Lady Gaga's doing, Grammy, performances with them. So that's obviously a sign that they're back in the mainstream.
To their marketing team, because
absolutely,
their marketing team is one of the best I've ever seen.
And now that they are in charge of their product 100%, they're not beholden to any record companies. I really like the direction that the band has taken, and I feel like it's for the fan, and it's so much, with the fan in mind. Sorry, I don't know what I just said there. But
if you are in a band struggling to think of ways to market your band, follow Metallica on all social media platforms and do what they do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if these ideas are coming from the band. I'm sure definitely leaning towards no.
I'm sure they have a team of people that help them.
Their team is on top of it.
And that they're the final say.
With all the creative fan club things they do, with all the creative ways they market themselves, playing a show in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Like all these kind of things
they do. If you go to their show, you'll understand like that this is a fan experience. It is not just them going to some stage, playing their set and leaving. Like, it's a full-on fan experience. There's all kinds of things happening, and the way they put on a show is to the maximum. Like, there's no expense spared, right? So it's just it's a full-on for the fan experience, and I'm glad to see that they're making that work. Like, they're giving that to the fans while still making their money and making their cut because they deserve it. They're hardworking and they write amazing songs.
And by the way, I have to plug Apple Music one more time because when I said I looked it up, I did not go to Google. I went to Apple Music, and everyone heard how fast I got the answer. It's not because I'm fast; it's because Apple Music's fast.
Right.
So it strikes again.
Yeah.
A7X. Let's talk about that because that is the
They made an
biggest,
interesting
the biggest
transformation.
example of another topic I wanted to talk about, which is sellout. And then the transformation.
So let's just go ahead and while you said sell out, everybody's mind's going to think we're dogging on them. We're not at all.
I'm arguing they're not actually. So
Right.
let me say
That's what I was making sure everybody
the first
knows.
two albums. It was two, right? Sounding the Seventh Trumpet was the very first one, and then Waking the Fallen.
Right, and those were metalcore records.
They're kind of hardcore-ish. Yeah, I don't like.
They're
them.
metal
I don't
and
like them
they're
very
metal
much.
and hardcore is called
And it's-
metalcore,
and
and
it's
they
not
almost
because-
invented it. They kind of grew up in it, and they did a very excellent job at it. But that they say that they grew into that. That's how they became a band, because that's what everybody was doing. So they did that. And then I love how they eventually
and those
got
are
back
not my
to what
favorite,
they
and
were.
that's not because I don't like screaming vocals. I do, but I just don't think the music was very good, and I think the production was bad, and also that freaking Unholy Confessions riff is just stop. Every guitar player on my street that was trying to play guitar learned that riff.
Oh yeah.
And it just so dumb. Anyway, they came out with City of Evil, and all the people that liked them from the first two albums said they were sellouts.
Yeah.
I have issue with that because City of Evil is one of the most unique albums I've heard.
Yeah.
It's completely unique. It's completely just orchestral elements in it.
Yeah.
There's
Even
a lot
though
of
people
interesting lead guitar playing.
compare it to Guns N' Roses. Like there's always that. That's when they
Which I
started
disagree
sounding
with.
like Guns N' Roses, and I agree. They were so far from Guns N' Roses, but it had these little elements in it that made it feel like a Guns N' Roses record, and that I think that's where people attach themselves.
I can't even. I just don't even know where that's coming from. Like
I mean,
can't
how about
see
the
it.
I try to drive all through the
Okay.
night? Like
I can
that's
see
an
that.
Axl Rose type delivery.
Sure, but it's like an octave below.
Sure,
You know
sure.
what I mean?
And he's got a lot of layers in there and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
But
not
then
doesn't sound like
let's also
Axl.
listen to the music underneath.
Right.
It's so not GNR. Like
Right, not at all.
Double
It's
kick
very
all over the
it's very
place.
much more
Drop
Metallica
D
and
for
right,
one.
and Drop D is like
Like-
it's a totally different thing. So
even when Slash did Velvet Revolver and Dave Kushner wanted to tune to Drop D, Slash didn't.
He didn't?
He would just come up with other things to do.
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
That's why on Slither he's
he
playing
does the higher
D-string lead.
octaves, yeah.
He's playing. He plays it just on the D string.
Yeah. And then he does the higher one up there. Yeah.
And I'm sure there were some rhythms tracked with it, but live I don't think he does
I
that.
didn't know that.
He's how do you say that word? Vehemently.
And whatever vehemently. I
Exactly.
always thought it was vehemently.
Vehemently against Drop D tuning, so
Well,
which I appreciate. So.
right. Well, I people do say that though. That's all I'm saying is I've brought up that album several times to people, and they bring up that's when they started sounding like Guns N' Roses. And I
Just
thought
like
it's fine.
I want to
but-
know how many people can sit down and be like you just did. Oh, this, and I'm like, okay, that kind of does. I see that. But
Right.
how many people could sit down and be like, oh, well, there's 10 reasons why they sound like GNR on this album. Here they are. 1, 2, 3.
Right.
As
I don't
opposed to
know.
just
I
reading
don't
some
know.
blog that somebody said, didn't back it up.
Yeah.
And then they just all of a sudden, it's
Or
like,
regurgitated
how
it.
is
Who
that?
knows? Who
There's-
knows?
There may be 2 ways they sound like Guns N' Roses, and there's 100 million why they don't.
Yeah.
You know? So
Doesn't matter.
as a perpetual student of GNR and as a semi-student of
You're coming at it with too much GNR knowledge. I think.
I just do not put them
I know.
together.
I know. You're
As-
probably coming at it with too much GNR knowledge, whereas
but
people
I'm coming at it from a place of hopefully
actual technicality sound.
knowledge and able to put into words what I'm saying, as
Sure.
opposed to being like, oh, it's not like GNR. Like, you know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure. And I don't think it's like that. I don't think they just kind of associate it for some reason when they got popular. GNR was a popular band, that kind of thing. Maybe there's a lot of that.
And I do know that M Shadows, I can't speak for the rest of the
He's
band,
a
but I
fan.
know him has said many times he's a big GNR fan
Yes.
and he loves Axl.
of course.
And he's on Slash's album. So
Yes.
that's another good example.
And
But
so Sinister Gates has said that he's influenced by Slash a lot. So.
my thinking is he said that in an interview. He says, try and then people are like, well, we fucking this is Guns N' Roses. Like, no, it's not. Like,
Kind of is that. Yeah, it's kind of that. But I do think that that's a unique album, and it's so will stand the test of time. It's a
Yes.
strong album. Then the
Then
next album they came out with
the self-titled, I think it was what, 2007
self-titled,
or 8?
self-produced. Yep, came out in 2008.
The
Yep.
White Album.
The White Album.
Also extremely good and built off what City of Evil created.
Yeah.
From there, it's all downhill. We'll talk about that in a second.
Well, Nightmare,
Nightmare
Jimmy
was
died,
okay.
and
All right, so City of Evil was approaching the peak. The self-titled was the peak. Nightmare's the next, like, you're going down the hill now, but it's not
they lost
the bottom of the
they
hill.
lost a huge
then it's
inspiration
going
to the
down,
band,
so-
the drummer.
Yeah,
so
the
those-
Rev.
and then
So,
they had it
Jim-
finished. They
Jimmy the
finished
Rev
the record
Sullivan
with
died. He's I think he died at 28 actually, so
Yeah.
he's not in the 27 club.
exactly. So he was one of those ones that was close.
And judging by their sound after he died, he was a critical part of what made them
Sure,
sound
but
the way
they're
they
also a band that's always changing. So you always have.
He was also a great singer. He sings all over the White
Yep.
Album. If you didn't know
Yeah,
that,
I did.
he plays a lot of keys. He wrote "Little Piece of Heaven."
Yep.
That's his entire song, start
Yep.
to finish.
Yep.
So,
He wrote a lot of the songs on Nightmare too.
Yep, he had a lot to do with the
right.
writing process in Nightmare. Of course, they brought in Mike Portnoy to actually record the drum
Right,
parts.
but he wrote the fiction too. Like he wrote that song, like lyrics wise and everything. And it wasn't. I don't
Okay.
even know if it was it was on the plans to be on the record, but they found it, like him rough tracks, whatever.
Right.
They liked it, and they started putting it in production or whatever. And they used as much of his
That
rough
had to have
takes
been really
as they-
hard.
Rough. Oh, dude, it had to be the hardest experience ever.
They're one of those bands that I don't think they had any turnover as far as members until he died, because my understanding, and I'm not
In the very
scholar,
beginning, there was a bass player.
but
that
they basically were all like high school friends and just
Yes.
started in and never changed.
Yeah.
Like,
they lost a bass player in the very beginning. Johnny Christ
Okay.
quit high school when Waking the Fallen was doing well enough to tour the country on Warped Tour and whatnot or whatever, and he quit high school to go join the band because the bass player.
okay.
I mean, I think they might have even gone to another bass player. I know one of the bass players died, so I don't know if they had another bass player for a little while and then Johnny Christ replaced him or not. But whatever.
Okay.
So that'd be
But
the only
after
changes I know.
those-
Right? You think like,
After those five were together,
How
it
lucky.
seemed to me that they had not changed for quite some time until the Rev died.
yeah, extremely lucky in that, and then that.
So that would have been all the albums, or no?
Oh no! Then they go on to Hail to the King.
No, I'm
Which-
saying that core lineup was they recorded all five albums that we talked about so far,
Yeah, with the core lineup.
except for Nightmare. So 4 albums.
4 albums.
So
sorry.
Sounding Seven Trumpet, which was basically a glorified EP.
Yeah, Waking
the Fallen was what I would
City
consider
of
the first
Evil.
album. City of Evil,
White
the
Album.
masterpiece, and the White Album, another masterpiece.
And then
Nightmare's
you get
okay.
Nightmare's
I
got
love
great
the
writing.
song Nightmare,
They were obviously going through a hard time, so you can hear that in the music. It's all like in there.
but I love the song Nightmare itself. Everything else on that album I could take or leave.
Yeah.
But the song Nightmare feels like it could fit right on City of Evil just fine.
Yeah, So Far Away is one of the biggest like songs that they still play.
Yeah.
like a whole lot. And
also
that's
Welcome
from-
to the Family is pretty good.
Yeah. Those are all good ones off the Nightmare record. And then you get Hail to the King, which is arena rock. Like that's what they're going for. They said
Yeah,
they
and
said they
that-
wanted
To me
simple-
is too derivative, and I hate myself for saying that word, but it is. I mean,
yeah. It's the Black Album. It's Metallica's Black Album.
it's more than that though, because
regurgitated
what
in
it
a
is,
modern era.
I told you this a minute ago. I saw this article that compared each song on Hail to the King
Yeah.
to another classic
Yeah,
metal song.
exactly. And listen, the album is great. Like those songs are very singable. They're very, jam. Like everybody loves them. Like they're great songs. Like I just think that for them, it's a step back in what they had already accomplished. That was a step back, but not like a problem. Like it wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it. Just didn't push the level. I don't think. But it gave them awesome songs to play live, which I think is what their goal was. I think they were looking for some just straight up, rock tunes to play live that people could sing along to and party to, 'Cause they're playing a lot of that. They started playing the big festival stuff, and maybe they're realizing like our songs aren't as, straightforward where people can rock out to or whatever.
Mhm.
And then they gave like a whole album of that. So now they have all that to add to their live show and whatnot. Then they go completely AWOL and go The Stage, which is
Yeah.
a prog metal record.
At this point, I've lost track of who the drummer is because they've had like 10 different ones or something.
Yeah, they had Aaron Elliger, I think, on the Hail to the King record, I think, because they didn't get Mike Portnoy again.
No, Mike Portnoy only
so they
did
got Aaron
the
Elliger, which
studio,
is
and
a
then I
young
think
guy.
he did a very short tour with
Yeah,
them.
I think Aaron Elliger
That
was
would've
like
been cool to see,
23,
by the way.
24 or something like that, or like when they got him. So he's younger than all of them. And then they felt like The Stage wasn't working out, so now they got Brooks Wackerman from the punk band, man. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. Brooks Wackerman's from the punk band.
I do not know.
Yeah, damn it.
I
All
could
right.
probably name 2 punk bands.
Anyways,
it's not my
look
genre.
it up. Look it up. It's killer. Obviously, I just can't think of the name.
The Stage, I think I listened to
He
most
seems
of
like
it,
a
but
mainstay now.
I just couldn't get into that album at all.
I like it. There's some really cool songs on there. Not like pop songs that I think people are gonna like get into, but I think there's some really interesting guitar work and some cool things that M Shadows' voice has totally changed. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, transformation
I
of
always,
bands.
Yeah, I always love Evolution.
Yeah.
So I can't fault him for that. I'm not mad at him. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just not the sound that I really
Yeah.
liked.
And Metallica's one of those ones. Avenged Sevenfold.
I also would hate to be the guy that's like, well, put out City of Evil 10 times for your career. It's like, well, no, don't do that. Like, that sucks.
No, exactly.
But also, when you try to evolve and change, there's going to be things that people don't like as much
Always.
as other things.
Always.
So
So you got to do what you want, and that's probably what they're doing, man.
that's the only thing you can do
Yeah.
as an artist is just do whatever feels true to you
Yeah.
at that time, and people will love it or hate it, and then just keep doing that. And people,
And I'd say that they're doing
I mean,
that.
that's
I'd
what
say
you're
that they're doing that. I think they put that Hail to the King record out just so they could have a better live performance. They gave themselves a whole new.
I feel like they were kind of lost after the Rev died because that was the first album where he didn't really have any contributions at all.
Sure. I don't think that the Rev dying changed the direction of the band completely like that. I don't think it was like, I think they've had a plan since the beginning, like how they want to evolve the band and get into like where they want to be. And obviously they're thinking that they have to make a living off of this. This is what they're doing. So it can't just be some kind of, quick decision that they don't think about. So I think they've been thinking about this for a long time. They're a smart band. Anyways.
Yeah. But the sellout thing, it goes back to the evolution thing. If you're evolving in the way that you want to as an artist and people don't like it, that's not a sellout.
No.
A sellout would be, a manager of some kind says, hey, we want you to do this. And you go, I really don't want to, but the money's good, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
if you want to and the money's good, not selling out. If you don't want to and the money is not good, not selling out.
That's interesting, though.
You have to not want to, and the money has to be good. It has to be those two things for it to be a sellout. Otherwise, the term sellout just doesn't apply because you're not selling out.
Yeah, well,
people,
who's to say what the artist wants versus what they're actually doing,
Right. Only the artist.
Only the artist knows.
So only they know if they're selling out.
Yeah, and I try not to use that term.
And if they're, furthermore, this is why sellout is way overused. If they don't want to do it and the money is good, but they don't feel like they're selling out in some way, they're not sellouts.
Right.
Only they can decide.
So look at them. They came out with Hail to the King, and then they come out with The Stage. Very easily, arguably, that the Stage is not going to do so well, and Hail to the King is going to do excellent because the proven method. Like Hail to the King is
chug that E string.
Exactly. Well, we know what that sound like makes us feel. So they already had that established. Whereas then you go do something like The Stage. It's very unestablished. People don't, you don't know what people are going to react to that. And I like it. I mean, I'm just going to say I'm a fan of it, but I'm not the usual listener. I'm not the normal listener.
Right. I wanted to take a second and talk about one of my favorite bands, new band. Actually, they don't have an album out yet. It's The Night Game. If you guys do not know The Night Game, you should check them out. They're not Matt's favorite, but they're one of my favorites. They're kind of in the style of the 1975.
Yeah.
So they put out their first single probably about a year ago. It was called The Outfield. It blew my mind. And one of the reasons they got famous so quickly is because it blew John Mayer's mind. And John Mayer tweeted about it and they got really big and he actually took them on tour.
Oh.
That I went to see because I had tickets to see John Mayer. So The Night Game was there. So I was super excited.
Oh, awesome.
Me and my bass player Logan went. That would have been August like 15th-ish. I only remember that because we saw GNR on the 11th.
All right.
And John Mayer was and that was a Friday and John Mayer was the following Tuesday.
Okay.
So it was somewhere around the 15th or whatever that it would be. So we saw them live. We saw them play all these songs that they've had. But we only had The Outfield to listen to, and we only had, I think, one other single at that time. Since then, they've put out 2.5 more singles. The half is like a song with another artist. It's the other artist's song featuring them.
Okay.
That's Kids in Love, if you've heard that one on the radio. So now we have, 4 or 5 whatever songs, and the album finally has a release date, and I think it's September 7th. Or that's...
Nice.
It's somewhere in September.
So anyways, when you saw them live, was it awesome? Like all their songs are set?
Super good.
Was great.
Yeah, it was awesome. They're one of those bands that I love The Outfield, and I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of bands you hear the lead single for.
Love The Outfield, the song.
The song, yeah. There's
You said there's a lot of bands, and you said you love The Outfield, and I just
the song. Well, I'm jumping all over the place because I'm trying to get my thoughts together, but Avenged Sevenfold is a great example. I heard Nightmare, the lead single, and I was like, this is incredible.
Right.
And I was very let down by every other song on that album.
Really?
So when you lead with the one good song, and there's 11 fillers, it's very disappointing. So I was hesitant.
I don't think it's, and I'll just say this, I don't think they're trying to lead with a good song. I think most people try to lead with a heavy song or like a hard, like a
generally you want to
lead
with the one people think is going to be the most successful.
Yeah.
That's the rule of thumb.
Well, I would say that Avenged Sevenfold at least typically has that the formula where they release the hard song in the front, where it's just like this heavy or like some big intro or whatever, big sounding song. So, anyways, Point being is that The Outfield could have been the one good song on the whole record. Could have been
the one good one with the others just being bad.
Sure.
And so far, everyone, I can't speak for the songs that I've not heard because there's 10 song, 11 song.
Like the other singles,
but every single they've released is really, really good.
Yeah.
And if you like the 1975, if you like that kind of modern pop with callbacks to the 80s and 90s at times,
definitely
you need to check The Night Game out. I heard them first through Bill Burr, so they come.
So everybody's on to them.
The Night Game. Yeah, I'll post them as
John
well.
Mayer, Bill Burr, absolutely post them. They don't have an album yet, but when
Which,
they do,
and another thing, it's been a long time. Like everyone has been all over their Instagram being like, "Yo, where's the album?"
oh yeah, so everybody's been pestering
And
about
I've been
it.
thinking, like, dude, like how many singles are you gonna release?
How
But
long
finally,
long's it been?
It's been over a year since they released their first single.
So they just want to probably put out a good record. They want to make sure they're doing it right.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're spending some money and time on it.
These are a bunch of, at least to me, it seems like a bunch of like real audiophiles. Like
Awesome.
they're not going to release it if it's not absolutely
Awesome.
perfect to what they believe. The singer is the guy from Boys Like Girls. If you guys remember that band, I know the band. I'm not really familiar with their stuff, but he's a pretty famous guy. So they kind of had a leg up there already,
Nice.
which was awesome. But the band itself, extremely cool. They take on pop in like a unique, interesting way that doesn't sound like everything else you've heard. And it's just got a real good vibe to it. Let's
Nice.
see. I think we wanted to try a new segment today.
Yeah, let's do it.
Product Spotlight.
That's right. It's Product Spotlight. What is the product this week, Matt?
All right, so I just got the new Zoom L12, which is awesome for anybody looking for some kind of podcasting board. Like that's what I bought it for originally, but I'm actually finding that I use it for recording my band in practices and whatnot. So
And I wanted to interject real quick and say that before we get too in depth into this board and into this segment, these are not products we are endorsed or
No, not at all.
advertising for. These are products we love and use.
Right.
If at some point we get endorsed or sponsored by these brands, we will be sure to let you guys know. But at this time, that is not the case. So do not think that is what this is.
This is 100% honesty coming at you right here about this board that I bought and I'm using it.
Yeah,
and
tell us the good
liking it.
and the bad.
So the cool thing about it that I love about it, it has 5 headphone outputs, which are all
That's a lot of headphone outputs for a board.
And each
Most
one of
have
them
like
can
one or
have their
two.
each one of them have their own mix. So you click on it, you have your master out, which is what you're selecting basically to record your master track, and that'll all be on one file. And then you can set everybody's each individual headphone A through E.
That's really nice and powerful and unique.
Yes.
A lot of like I said, I have an X32 and they just have 2, I think.
Okay.
Two headphone outs,
Which is
and
good.
they're not really configurable. Like
They're
it's
not
kind of they just
configurable
hear the
all the
mains.
Same
so
thing
whatever
as
you get.
yeah.
So, and then again, that's not really a feature for that thing. That's just
So
kind of
this
like
is-
something nice you have.
Yeah, so this is perfect for a podcast where you have up to 5 people. I mean, because then you have already
Absolutely.
5 headphone outputs, and if somebody wants to hear, less of my big mouth or something like that, or
Yeah.
whatever they need to hear more or less of, you can mix that in, and or you can run. It's got 12 inputs, 2 stereo at the end, so it's 11. So 9 and 10 and 11 and 12
gotcha.
are
So
stereo. So 8 XLR inputs, which is plenty.
And the stereo ones are like the SPDIF outputs
Yes.
with the red
well,
and
they're
the white.
both. They're quarter-inch and
gotcha.
yeah,
Cool.
they have it both options.
Okay, nice.
Very, very
And one of the things you
versatile board.
you said a minute ago to me before we started when we were talking about this board was the recording function.
Yeah,
Tell
you
me-
can
tell me
record
more about
every track individually, and it folders them out into your SD card. And I have a 128 gigabyte SD card that will hold a lot of files. Not the most ever. That I never have to worry about it. I have 2 of them, but it'll hold a lot of audio. So recording separate tracks enables you to later on go back, pull those tracks, and you can do whatever you want with them. You can
drop them in Pro
individually mix
Tools or
them.
whatever.
You can
Yep.
throw effects on them, whatever you wanted to
Yeah.
do to them.
This board intrigued me as you were describing it because it sounded like the perfect solution to a 3 or 4 person band that is in
I'd
pre-production.
say 5 people because you have 5 phone outputs and 8 inputs.
Okay.
I'd say 5 people depending on what your instruments are. Obviously, drums take a little bit more.
Yeah, drums would take
miking,
8
right.
to 12 easily.
If you're miking them up full,
Right.
I have my tube mic on it facing it with
I
the
gotcha.
with the shell from
Yeah.
the vocals.
Okay, that's smart.
Yeah, so it's working. It
You could
isolates
also do
the
the
guitars well.
Led Zeppelin way with 1 on the kick and 2 overheads.
Sure. And I could add that into what I already have too. So I
Yeah.
can just use like a 4 mic
So
setup
let's
on the
say you
drums.
have
have 4
mics for
people,
drums.
right?
and then guitar, bass, vocal,
Yeah,
vocal, 2
well,
vocals.
say no vocals, you go put the vocals back on it over it later.
Oh, okay, cool.
What if you did that? Like, what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's definitely ways to make it.
Yeah,
make it
there's
work.
so many different ways you could do it.
Sure.
You could do 1 drum or 1 mic on the drums,
Right. Which is
You
what
know.
I'm at right now, and that's getting me by.
2,
It's
3
really great.
guitars, bass, and some vocals.
Yeah,
that
and
you can
bass we do direct in, so there's no everybody's wearing headphones because
Yep.
obviously there's enough headphone outputs, and then we do no bass live in the room, so that way there's no coming in through the bleed
Yeah.
or whatever. So that's just direct in.
So the only bleed is guitar, and
And drums. Yep, and it works great.
that's nice. Yeah, and the recording capabilities, you can take it out of the rehearsal room, drop it in your computer, in your DAW of choice. Mine is Pro Tools.
Yeah, on an SD card,
And
no computer necessary.
beautiful.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
great.
you know, it's always different when you hear it in your headphones,
Sure.
even if you play it back right then.
Yeah.
Then when you get home and put it on your system,
Unpack.
and then you're like, whoa, okay, this doesn't work, or
Sounds-
this is better
right,
than I
right.
thought. You know, things like that. So,
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
First product spotlight ever.
Yeah, check it out. I give it I get a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Why would you not give it 5?
Why I would not give it 5 is I feel like it's probably not the best quality sound wise. Like, I mean, if you spent some more money, I think you get, you know what I mean? Maybe in that price
It's
range.
also not a bad price. It
Yeah.
was what, $600?
Yep, $5.99. Sweetwater, I got it from. They're always great.
So if you're listening to this and this board sounds like a good solution for your problems,
Check it
because
out.
I could already, when you were describing, I could think like, oh, that'll be nice for this, that'll be
Mhm.
nice for this, that'll be nice for this.
Yeah.
So some people are going to have these problems that need solutions, and I did not know this board existed.
Yeah, it's
and
new.
I
It's fairly new.
am relatively in the know on gear, so
Yeah.
that's I don't want this to slip by anyone that this could help. So
Absolutely. And I think like if you think Zoom is like an unpopular brand name, if you've ever had like some cheap Zoom product or whatever, and you think I've had that myself or whatever, and I really believe in you get what you pay for,
sure.
and I think that this board is actually
That's never more
a
true than
good
with
value.
music gear too.
Yeah, exactly. I think this board is a really good value. for
Music
what it's
gear,
at in price.
price is almost directly
Yeah.
correlated to
Yeah.
quality.
Yeah,
The
'cause
more
I mean-
you pay, the better quality.
exactly.
Not
Components.
everything is like that, but music gear is definitely like that.
Yeah.
If you buy a $100 guitar, it's garbage.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
buy a $3,000 guitar,
Yeah.
it's probably really good.
Yeah, it's
Like,
been I
and
agree.
the other thing I'll say is Zoom, for whatever drawbacks it has, me and you use the H6 when we're doing our
yes,
road podcast.
and that thing works great.
We've used it on episode 14, the
Yep.
last talk show.
Eddie's
And we use it on Eddie Z, which is
Yeah.
episode 7. So if you listen to those episodes and you
Those are-
think that quality sounds noticeably less than the other ones or more,
Yeah.
that's just to let
and
you
that's
guys know.
and that's a 4-input little
That's a
handy
4-input
recorder.
little handheld recorder,
Yeah,
which
and it
also
also
records to an
has-
SD.
It also has
Yeah.
a stereo microphone on it, right?
Mhm.
That
So you can record 6 at
a
once.
room, right?
Yeah. Now I don't think it lets you.
Simultaneously.
No, it does take them out individually. Yeah,
Okay.
because I do it in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can record each of those tracks
another
individually as
great
well.
digital recorder.
Yeah, and I had the H5, but it only had. You could only do 2 mics at once.
that's what-
So I had to upgrade to the H6 and sell my H5 because we really needed that 4 because Matt and I needed one each.
yeah, and then we
and
could have
then,
up to 2 guests.
Yeah.
Or
and
have,
actually, I remember now, the day it came in was the day we recorded Eddie.
it was
Yeah,
it was
'cause
right by the wire.
I remember I was like, am I going to have to use the 5? Like, Matt, we're going to be
Yeah,
handing the mic back
we
and
had
forth.
2 plans.
And we were, we were kind of panicking, but it came in that day.
It was perfect.
So-
It was perfect. And it worked great. I think it's awesome.
that was great. So product spotlight, there you go, people. What is the product name one more time for us, Matt?
the Zoom L12
L12.
live track. I think is what the
Nice.
Yep.
All right, well, let's get into this album review.
It's time for an album review.
Graveyards, or is it Graveyard?
just Graveyard.
Graveyard.
Yeah, and
I feel like an idiot.
they are. That's okay. They're great,
Graveyard.
man. It's one of my favorite bands. I've been following for a while, man.
The first thing I'll say is the album art of this band and a band like Big Wreck
Yeah.
and a band like Blacktop Mojo.
Yeah.
The album art on these modern rock bands, it's awesome now.
Yeah, they're really getting they're getting in touch with this. I think there's a lot of digital artists out there nowadays, like hustling online. And
This one I will
connecting.
show you real quick. The great, and you guys should look this up too. The Graveyard album. It is just Graveyard. I've been thinking it's Graveyards all day. It is.
it's just Graveyard.
So I mean, you know what that looks like.
Yeah,
The Graveyard album, and then I'll show you Big Wreck, the band Albatross.
they have something similar.
It looks Ghosts. Sorry, Ghosts.
Oh yeah, it does kind of have some.
It's kind of like the same vibe. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it
no,
has,
not at all. And
not
I-
Albatross. Albatross looks nothing like it.
Graveyard-
Ghosts is what I was thinking of.
Graveyard's album, Unhinged Blues or whatever however you say it. It's hard for me to pronounce that one, but that album has great artwork as well. It's like
Yeah,
I love the way
there goes playing. Stop playing. But their Graveyard. It's called Peace. Released
new one's called
2018. It
Peace.
was released when? Really recently,
just
right?
last week, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
last Friday.
Well, the first song, It Ain't Over Yet, comes on, and I'm thinking, okay. And then the guy starts singing, and my first thought is, this guy kind of sounds like Axl.
Yeah, it got a
I
little
never,
Axl.
ever say that.
Yeah.
Not because I think Axl's untouchable. I just think he has an extremely unique voice.
So I'm showing you the
Hinsingen Blues.
Yeah, so that-
Hinsingen Blues.
Yeah,
I don't
however
know.
you say it. But the album art is killer,
Yeah.
and that's my other favorite
That's
record
truly
by them.
art right
and I
there.
think this record, here's my thing about this record, was my favorite album by them, and I think this record is in
let's
competition
be
with it.
specific. Hinsingen Blues was your favorite.
Yes.
But Peace is in competition.
It's in
with it.
competition now, and it's only been out for like a week now, or
Okay,
maybe,
cool.
maybe less. But it's killer. It's everything I like about that other one.
Yeah,
about
and
Hinsingen
I liked it a
Blues.
lot too. One thing I noticed that I picked up on that bugged me was they really like to drone one chord
Mhm.
for a really long
Yeah.
time. Like if there's a 16 bar verse, that whole verse will be just one chord.
Yeah, they don't care. They're not worried about monotony.
And it never changes. And several of their songs do that in several different spots, and that just kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah,
but other than
I think
that,
it's a trait though. I think it's kind of a thing that they do, you know, and it gives you gives your brain time to reset maybe before the next thing comes in and gets you in this rhythm. Like I don't think it's all for nothing.
Yeah,
I think it has a good effect. I think the way they attack it is nice, and I've seen them live in Nashville. I actually drove there on a Tuesday night. I had to work the next day, of course, and Asheville's 2.5 hours away, 2 hours away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
So for me, it was a long ass night, but it was
Did they play the Orange Peel?
Worth it. Yes, it was so worth it.
I played the Orange Peel.
They destroyed it.
It's a fun venue.
Yes, it's a very cool venue.
They have an elevator that
goes down to
the street,
bar.
and it goes directly into the back of the stage.
Oh,
so
really?
when you're loading in from the base, you load into the elevator from the street. It goes up and it opens up directly onto the stage.
I thought you were talking about the elevator for the liquor bar downstairs. There's a little elevator for that.
I don't know. I don't know if it might be the same elevator, but I'm not sure. But that's the only thing I remember about that venue.
Yeah, cool venue.
I also remember that my acoustic. I was playing my Taylor 214. Which takes a 9-volt battery to really output the sound. It died in the middle of the performance when we were playing whatever.
Oh, jeez.
And my guitar just started making space alien noises, and no one could figure out what was wrong.
The battery
we didn't figure out
dying.
until after that the battery was dead, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So this record starts with "It Ain't Over Yet," which to me, Hinton Blue starts with a song called "Ain't Fit to Live Here," and I think they are very on par with the same feeling and vibe. So that's
they're kind of accessing a formula almost.
Somewhat of a formula, yeah. And I know this one was released on Nuclear Blast Records. I don't know that if all of them have been released on the same record label. I wonder if somebody from Nuclear Blast had made the push for that or anything like that. But this sounds so much like Hinton Blues, which I think they really had an awesome formula for a record on that record. And I'm glad to see that they kind of went back to that. And just solid songs. I mean, I love blues, and this has got blues and rock all over it. Fuzzy guitar tone, and his voices.
I like that kind of modern rock that you hear where it's kind of like indie alternative-ish.
Yeah.
Where the vocals have like distortion on them, that kind of sound.
Yeah. And this...
Like, who does that? There's like some bands on the radio that do that, like kind of Black Keys almost kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Jack White, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
that kind of vibe.
Jet.
These guys are way heavier than that, but...
Yeah, well, these guys are like bluesier. They're darker. It's got a dark feel to it, which, man, that's my calling.
I liked it. Do you have a favorite song? I have not heard them
I like
all, but the
Cold
first
Love.
The first
Cold Love's
one so
the
far is
second
my
one.
favorite. Cold Love was good.
It was a good song, and then there's... I don't know. I keep looking down the listens, like going to the next one, to the next one, the next one. I like Bit of Paradise. Bird of Paradise. Sorry, I read that wrong. Bird of Paradise. I like. Yeah, those three for sure. The first song,
cool.
Cold Love, and Bird of Paradise are my favorite.
Nice. Any final notes on the Graveyard album besides you guys need to check it out?
Yeah, check out all their.
I like that sometimes we do music that most people probably have not heard.
I try to.
This one is brand new for one, but it's also kind of a relatively obscure band,
right? And I think they're from like Sweden or something.
I like that we're trying to do our part to kind of bring new good rock to people.
Absolutely, and it's all over the place. You just gotta when you find
it, you just gotta look a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that'll do it for the album review this week. Definitely check out Graveyard. Peace. Yep. This week, Guns N' Roses released some new videos.
Mm-hmm.
What were the videos?
What they do yesterday's, The Garden, and Sweet Child of Mine alternate.
An alternate take. Yeah. Somebody, some people pointed out that it was the video for the radio edit.
Oh, okay. That's
which
it might just be parts of it. Maybe it's.
I don't actually remember how the radio edit differs. I know it's way worse. They cut out one of the intros. The intro goes 3 full times.
Okay.
They cut out one of those.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting. Just to make it shorter.
Yeah. They got it because the song's like almost 6 minutes, I think.
Right. Okay.
So they're almost 5, somewhere in there. So they got to cut it down. The It's So Easy video was released.
That's another thing that was
not the one in
not
this
on this
but
group, right? And that's what I think I saw an article where people were caught off guard. They were like, "Oh yeah, I was paying attention so much to that It's So Easy new video, and I forgot. I didn't even realize that they released 3 new videos on their YouTube page."
The Garden is a really overlooked song, and
great song.
I definitely brought this up as a segue because our solo of the week is from The Garden. So check out those new GNR videos. But let's get into our solo of the week here.
Yeah.
Solo of the week.
Solo of the week. Like I said, it's The Garden by GNR. Before Slash, of course, playing the solo. Before
Yeah.
we talk too much about it, let's take a listen. Hey, what's up, guys? Dallas here. You know what time it is. YouTube won't let us play the solo of the week here. So if you want to check it out, feel free to subscribe to us on iTunes or just search it on your own. Let's get back to the show. All right, The Garden / GNR. I like that the riff underneath is really interesting and dissonant.
Yeah.
It's not, in any particularly like one key. It kind of moves around a little bit. And he
Yeah.
plays some really interesting stuff over the top. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely the riff is cool. Like how it lends to Slash's playing style, the grooviness of it, the way it comes in. It gives Slash something to grab onto when he comes in with the solo. And I love his attack on it. Like
also
takes you so far, like it goes.
There's a bunch of lead guitar parts in this song. We're not talking about any of the slide ones.
Right.
As you heard.
Right.
We're talking about
The solo.
the
The solo
main
spot.
big solo, yeah. Because there's a lot of like mini slide solos that are also very good. We're talking about the main one because that's the one that really grabs me.
Mhm.
Something I noticed, if you listen to it too loud, it's kind of hard to decipher what the guitar's doing.
Yeah, the mix takes over.
It's tough to explain why that is. I think it has something to do with the amount of reverb that's on the mix and the amount of delay on these guitars. It kind of gets like, if you listen to it too loud, it kind of gets muddy and it's hard to decipher what's going on. The solo at the end of Breakdown off of Use Your Illusion 2, I think, is also the exact same way.
Okay.
Really, really hard to decipher if you listen to it too loud.
I never
So
noticed that.
listen to it as quietly as you can to really hear the individual notes of that solo go by. A lot of cool stuff. I like that it feels like there's kind of 3 sections and it feels like it could be over at the end of the second section.
Yeah.
And right where you think it's going to end, he comes
Comes back all the way
builds
back up, starts it over.
and it
Kinda,
does like
you
a
know.
really cool kind of like, oh, I thought we were done, but we're not.
Right.
One of my favorite solos, definitely an overlooked song in general.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper, by the way, on this track, he sings all of those heavy parts.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that was Alice Cooper?
No.
To show my worst utopia.
Yeah.
That's Alice Cooper.
I just thought that was Axel doing another voice. That's interesting.
Just faking that shit made my throat go nuts. Yeah, Alice Cooper.
Awesome.
Any other comments on this solo before we wrap
I love the way he ends
the
it
show
with
here?
a huge note that wah.
Yeah,
It
that
just
big bend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not very often you hear people end a solo like that, but it
Yeah.
sounds perfect for the song.
The Garden off of Use Your Illusion 1. What are some of your favorite tracks off of Use Your Illusion 1? I know it's tough to kind of keep track of what's on 1 and what's on
Yeah.
2, but what are some of your tracks off Use Your Illusion in general?
So one is that's the one that's like a lot of Izzy songs, and 2 is the one that's a lot of Axel songs, or how does that work? Isn't there some kind of differentiation of what the 2 are?
I don't think, not necessarily. To me, it seemed almost arbitrary.
Okay. Well, I'll say that I like Locomotive.
I
I don't know.
love
I don't know
Locomotive.
which ones are like on which
I
one. I'm
think-
not gonna be able to.
Let's project. I think that, because what happens is the 1, as you know, is red,
Yeah.
and the 2 is blue.
Yeah.
So what happens is when you say a song name, I immediately think of red or blue.
Right, but
It's weird, you know what
but
I mean?
I can't trust
Like
myself.
November
I don't
Rain
know where. I
is,
don't know where I'm gonna.
red, I think. So I think it's on
Don't
1.
Cry is blue for sure.
Really?
I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right.
And then Locomotive, I feel like is blue.
I feel like Locomotive is...
Breakdown's blue.
Breakdown's definitely blue.
I like
Yesterday's
Double
is
Talk and
blue.
Jive is red.
Double Talk and Jive is like track 2 or 3 off of...
Back Off
the first
Bitch
one.
is
That's red.
red.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice, you're killing it.
I'm killing it. That's interesting to think about the red and blue. I never thought about that way.
I was very wrong. Double Talk and Jive is track 9. Don't Cry is red. I was right.
Okay.
that
So
what
I
I
thought
said?
it was blue.
Locomotive...
Wait, is there a second alternate lyrics on Don't Cry that's in blue?
I think so.
I
Yeah,
think that's what I'm right.
so Don't Cry's on both. The original's on. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
There's an alternate lyrics.
Locomotive is blue. Very good.
Yeah.
Yesterday is one of my absolute
Yes.
favorite Guns N' Roses songs
Oh, yeah.
off of
I
Use
catch
Your Illusion
myself singing
2.
that all the time. Like that one just gets stuck
Dust
in
and
my head.
Bones, the only song where you can hear Slash sing. That's track 2 off Use Your Illusion 1. He sings the "Get out on your own,
Yeah.
and you." Yeah.
Very gravelly.
Yeah. The only reason I knew that was him is because I saw him do it live on that DVD.
Oh, okay. Cool.
The Garden is right after November Rain. I have a theory. If you have a really famous song, the song after it is
gonna be-
almost always a single as well. Have
I
you
know.
noticed that?
Yeah, I think about that all the time because, like, I don't know what that is. Why do you? what are your thoughts on why that is?
Because you listen to the famous one so much,
That
the
the
next
second
one
one
plays,
becomes
and
famous.
eventually you're like, oh, okay, this one's good too. Like,
yeah, you get used to it.
and it's never as famous. It's never even like another big hit. It's always kind of like a C-level hit. Think about Welcome to the Jungle and It's So Easy.
Right. It's so easy.
is another big hit of theirs,
one of
but
my
it's
favorites.
way down on the list. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so crazy.
So
a song is like popular by association.
right, I think so, and we see that with November Rain and The Garden, which has a music video. I would never think that would be one of the ones they chose, but if you choose to do a music video for something, it usually means it's because, you know, it's a hit or
popular,
it's a
right.
single or something.
Right. Or, it could just mean that there's a really good vision for that they want to portray.
Estranged and You Could Be Mine, although they were both singles, I think.
Exactly. Estranged
So-
might not have been a single, was it?
I don't know.
Might have been. But it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's definitely one of their best songs. It's amazing. Solo on that
So
song.
good.
God damn.
Yeah, Estranged is one of my favorites for sure.
Jesus.
We need to do that one day, and there's so much lead guitar work in it.
Yeah, we'll have to spread it out. We don't want too many Slash in a row.
I know, yeah. This is the Slash podcast. Welcome back.
Right.
No, not really.
So anything else? You got it, man?
I think we're good, man.
Yeah.
This is
that was a good
this has
episode.
been an enlightening hour talking about this and that. I'm going to be posting some songs for you guys in the show notes, so go to our website, themusicianstalkshow.com.
I'll try and post some relative stuff to the Facebook as well, so you guys can check out some of the new video, the Guns N' Roses videos.
That's perfect.
We'll post some stuff like that on there.
Also, when you go to the website, make sure you put the word themusicianstalkshow.com.
Yes.
I'm going to be posting that Nevermore Sound of Silence song we talked about, the Heaven and Hell album. Or I might do the individual tracks. Haven't figured it out yet. The Night Game stuff, which is great. The Graveyard album we reviewed.
Yep.
And then the Garden solo. So
Yep.
I always post the album review and the solo, but I'm going to give you guys a little extra something this week because I think all the music we talked about deserves to be
Shared.
listened and heard. And
Yeah.
tweet at us. I think it's TMTS podcast on Twitter. If I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Sound of Silence one, especially.
Yep.
So tweet at us, comment below, whatever
you
you
can
do
do.
to get in contact.
Communicate.
We're everywhere. It's not hard. So yeah, TMT podcast. TMTS podcast, The Musicians Talk Show. Or you can tweet at me. I'm Dallas DeWhite, pretty much everywhere. And I want to really want to hear what you guys think on some of these songs we talked about.
Yeah, get at us.
Absolutely, man. Any final words?
Peace.
It's a good one. I like it. See you guys next time.
It was the album review.
Hey guys! First of all, thank you so much for listening. If you could please take a quick moment to subscribe on iTunes and leave a rating and review. Your feedback seriously is really important and it helps us keep the show alive.
Check out musicianstalkshow.com to sign up for our mailing list. If you do, we're going to send you our main theme song and a few other surprises. Plus, you'll always be the first to know what episodes are coming up.
If you want to help support the show so we can keep putting out the highest quality content possible, please follow the Support the Show link at our website and consider donating to our Patreon page.
Lastly, if you have an idea for a guest or a question you want to discuss, contact us through any of the contact forms on our website, and we'll do everything we can to make it happen.
Whew, all right. That was a lot, but we got through it. Thanks again, guys, and we will see you soon.